Good Wednesday morning, y'all. Welcome on into your FreightWaves Now Community Spotlight. I'm Kaylee Nix, and it's Wednesday, so it is time to hit truck tech running, and we've got Alan Adler joining us, our expert on all things truck tech related. Alan, thanks for joining us. Back from America's Heartland, you took a little detour to the College World Series in Omaha last week. How was it?
That was pretty cool. I've never been to a college baseball game that I can remember, but that's a great environment. It really is. And then, getting to see the other night, the final game on TV, it just meant a little more having been to Charles Schwab Stadium. That was kind of cool. So yeah, big fun and lots of great stuff out here. We're still traveling for the rest of the week, but yeah.
I got to say, folks here in the control room are pretty happy that the national championship trophy went home with the Tennessee Volunteers. And as an Oklahoma Sooner, I can't say the same, but we didn't even make it out of the Super Regionals. So, whatever.
Well, it was funny because we saw Kentucky, Florida a week ago. And because my sister attended Kentucky, I was giving her sort of play-by-play. And she was sad at the end because Florida just, they beat Kentucky badly.
Yeah, too bad. You know what? But hey, how about those Sooner women 4-time in a row? Women's College World Series.
There you go.
We love that there. Let's move on. We got truck tech stuff to talk about today, and you've got an exciting one on the docket talking about a really exciting strap-on and aftermarket solution for clean fuels. Talk to us a little bit about it.
Yeah, the company, Kaylee, is called ClearFlame, and they're based in the Chicago area. They are a startup of about 5 or 6 years ago. They've had a lot of support from Argonne National Laboratories. They have really good partnerships with people like Cummins and others that work in the engine space. They're essentially retrofitting engines to run on ethanol and other cleaner fuels, basically. And, again, kind of a transition technology, really. It's not going to be anything that is going to dent electrification. That's really the big picture thing. But I think what you're looking at is a company that really is going to make a bit of a difference, at least, again, on a transitional kind of way. The CEO and co-founder, BJ Johnson, is a really fascinating guy. He was a scholarship candidate, or not candidate, but scholarship recipient at Stanford, but not for swimming, which he is actually was a world-class swimmer, competed internationally and so forth. But he has applied a lot of those lessons, I think, discipline lessons around sports to what he's doing in this area. He says there's never any perfect practice. There's never any perfect day, he said, but we're making progress. And, it's interesting because when we taped this episode back at the ACT Expo, we kind of said, what's interesting here is this is not the technology most people are here to talk about. But we do think it'll be a good show today and something that people will enjoy getting caught up on. He's a real sharp guy.
I love that. And I think that we see it pretty often where athletics really forms really well into successful business people. And I don't know if it's like the tenacity or if it's the teamwork that drives that, but it's something that we see, I think, fairly often, especially in this kind of emerging technology and startup space. And Alan, we talk about how this is a solution that can be retrofitted onto those engines. And when we talk about transitions and into that cleaner energy, that's often something that we're looking for because it gives folks the ability to, I guess, kind of play around with their solution without having to commit to buying a new vehicle that is already ready-made for this, right? Is that what we're looking at and being kind of a good stepping stone for some of these folks looking to transition?
I think it is, Kaylee. I mean, they're obviously starting with existing trucks now. They're not, it's not a solution that's offered at the manufacturer level, and really none are at this point, except for the OEMs that, make electric trucks. But as far as these, transition technologies, I think you're looking at companies that are obviously starting, with older trucks, retrofitting them, and then ultimately into new trucks as they get customers and that sort of thing. And I think you're looking at a solution. I think you raised a good point because the cost of moving to full electrification is quite high, even with incentives. But you do have an opportunity with some of these alternatives, really, to get where you want to get, at least on the path, for less money. And I think that's something that, companies like ClearFlame can do. But they do have a lot of technology involved in terms of, most of the under the hood looks the same, but, BJ, takes us through, what changes are made, to allow for, this new technology. And also importantly, the measurement of the emissions and how much less emissions you're actually putting out. Again, it's not zero emissions, but it's far less. And it's actually something that, they're able to track with a partner.
Alan, you mentioned that this was shot at the ACT Expo from a couple weeks ago. I feel like we've been on this theme of truck techs that we got shot and put in the can there. How many else do we have coming down the pipeline from that show?
Well, I think we have at least one more coming. We'll have one on XOS coming up as soon as we need it. But, even out here on the road, we've had some opportunities to do some interesting stuff in the Denver area and also, in Kansas. A couple of companies that we've been tracking, Outrider for one, and RNGV will also be future episodes because I love remotes. I love doing this stuff on the road, getting with the people, seeing their facilities and that sort of thing. So we'll keep trying to fill up the bank and keep it full. But yeah, at some point we'll run out of ACT Expo stuff. Not quite yet.
We're not quite sick of seeing it yet either, so keep them rolling to us. Let's talk about the newsletter coming up on your Friday morning. Still going strong with those truck tech subscribers. If you're not one of them, head on over to freightwaves.com to do that. What do we have this week in the newsletter?
Well, we're pulling together kind of an overview look at wireless charging, or what's called inductive charging. This is something that's been around for a while, but again, not a big player, used primarily for transit buses and also for yard tractors, things that don't go very far and don't go very far apart from one place to another. But it is a technology that is probably getting a little bit more notice now because of the slowdown in, getting electrification to sites to, as infrastructure. In this case, you're basically burying a plate below a concrete barrier, and then you're parking right over it to get your charge. This works really well for something like a yard tractor that can take several top-offs really a day and then move back into its work. So it's very expensive at the front end, but its payback is really quite quick. A little less than 3 years to get the money back. So, we talked to InductEV, we talked to the company that they used to be called Momentum Dynamics. We even have a little bit from Outrider on that because they have electric yard tractors out in Denver and, are offering this inductive charging or wireless charging for future customers. So pretty broad-based essay, if you will, and something that just kind of looks at this as a still experimental but potential, get in the pool with everybody else.
And broad, but a look at what could potentially be coming down the pipeline for us fairly soon. Alan, thank you for joining us this morning for your Community Spotlight. For people who want to catch the show or subscribe to your newsletter, where can they go to do that?
I would send them to the FreightWaves YouTube channel. I would say look under shows and look for Truck Tech. There's a full playlist there. You can see the latest as well as a couple of years worth of episodes at this point. And so that's the way to do that. The newsletter is you can subscribe at freightwaves.com /truck-tech, and that will let you opt in to get it emailed to you on Fridays. We also do publish it on freightwaves.com at 11 o'clock Eastern on Fridays.
We would love for you to be a subscriber as well. Alan, thanks for joining us this morning. We will catch up with you next week.
Thank you. Bye.